Welcome back. President Tinubu declared an emergency rule in Rivers State over the political crisis and instability in the state. The president also suspended the governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara, the deputy governor, Ngozi Odu, and all members of the Rivers Assembly for an initial period of 6 months. The president invoked the provision of Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1999 as amended to declare the state of emergency in the state. Now, following the suspension, President Tinubu appointed a new sole administrator for the state, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, to take over the affairs of the state pending the resolution of the conflict. All right, joining me via this discussion is, of course, I got Justice Ojeno right here in the studio with me. Hopefully, we are looking to connect with Abida Israel from our Abuja studio. We are yet to get words if he's finally. All right, we just confirmed that now. Israel, good to have you on the show this evening.
Good evening, sir.
Fantastic. Welcome to the show. All right, Justice, I'll begin with you. Now, the state of emergency has been described as excessive by quite a chunk. Some legal luminaries have also been divided on the said action. What's your assessment generally? Okay,
my assessment is I stand with the NBA.
Okay.
I stand on the opposing side of the learned Attorney General on this issue, who has the responsibility to actually advise the president.
Right.
He is a man I love and adore so much, and to a large extent, a lot of the reforms that he has brilliantly introduced to the Nigerian legal setting, it has made me extremely elated. But on this issue, I humbly and honestly disagree with him. It doesn't matter how he tries to justify it. I'll be playing the ostrich and be naive to say that the situation in Rivers State is not becoming dire and dire by the day. I also just got news that a pipeline just got
another gas explosion.
Another gas explosion tonight. So maybe anybody that's living under a rock will say that, okay, there is nothing in Rivers State that is demanding that the president, as a responsible person, takes quick action to prevent further escalation, especially because it is one of the goods that lays the golden egg, in a manner of speaking. But the extent to which I do not agree with Mr. President and with Mr. Learned Attorney General is the fact that the president went as far as suspending the governor and suspending the House of Assembly members. To that extent, I am not very agreeable with the Learned Attorney General.
All right. Okay, well, Israel, quickly, barely a week after a major explosion occurred on the Trans-Niger pipeline in Bodo-Gokana local government area of Rivers State, another explosion has been reportedly, reported that struck the Soko oil facility in Akuku Toru local government area. Do you think this will further make people see why the state of emergency was needed after all?
Thank you so much for the question. The provision of the Constitution is clear and unambiguous in respect of the discretionary powers of the president to proclaim a state of emergency in the Federation or any part thereof. Section 305, which has been the relevant section in relation to the declaration of state of emergency by the president, is very unambiguous. The conditions precedent to the exercise of the president's discretionary powers to issue a proclamation in this respect is basically Section 305 sub 1, and then Section 305 sub 3 of the Constitution gives the conditions precedent to the exercise of that power.
Right.
So the pipeline explosion, I do think, does not justify the state of emergency declared by Mr. President, because it is not one of the conditions envisaged by the drafters of the Constitution as conditions precedent to the exercise of the discretionary powers of Mr. President under Section 305 sub 1 of the Constitution.
All right, Israel, if you say it is not one of the conditions, we're looking at a government facility being blown up here. This is directly going to affect the GDP of the country, and this is where, of course, monies will be coming from which allocations will be given to the governors. If you are the commander-in-chief and intelligence begins to creep in, telling you that they already started targeting government facilities, won't you use your discretion as the president to protect the lives and the people in that part? And are you not aware that in most cases, what if it gets out of hand? Are you aware the blame will go back to the commander-in-chief for not being able to stem the tide when the situation became out of control? So what's your assessment if all of these preambles are considered?
Thank you once again. Well, like I said, the power conferred on the president by Section 305 sub 1 of the Constitution is a discretionary power. But the section provides that subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the president may, by a publication published in the official gazette of the government of the Federation, all right, issue a state of emergency in the Federation or any part thereof. Now, if you look at discretionary powers are to be exercised in line with laid down rules. All right? If you're exercising a discretionary power, you are to exercise that power within the province, within the ambit of laid down rules. And where is this ambit? The ambit is in Section 305 sub 3. It is not for the president to imagine or to have an anticipatory resort. So that discretionary power is now so okay, there is intelligence report. Intelligence report is not captured under Section 305 sub 3 of the Constitution. And let me also re-emphasize that the conditions precedent to the exercise of the president's discretionary powers to issue state of emergency in the Federation or any part thereof, in this case in Rivers State, is there must have been a breakdown of law and order in that state. Okay. There must have been a breakdown of law and order. Before now, there had been pipelines had been blown up.
No. Pipelines have not been blown up before now.
All right,
please,
so
let's get the facts clear. We can't be. You are already imagining things like this happening before it got out of control. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Justice.
It's all right.
I mean, from the angle he's coming from, it's very clear that we are not really understanding the state of things here. Let me read out Fubara's statement when he was addressing, a conference. Let me say it here. Those group of members who claim they are assembly members, they are not assembly members. They are not existing. I want it to be on record. I accepted that peace accord to give them a floating. There is nothing in that peace accord that is a constitutional issue. It is a political solution to a problem. They are not existing. Their existence is me. Now, we can't leave out the fact that the president has tried to mediate in the matter. He has called him to a truce. They've given out a few documents to sign to actually let the peace go on. Do we allow law and order to break down totally before we declare state of emergency? Is this particular state of emergency not fair enough in order to forestall whatever would have become outrageous and out of control?
Okay, yeah, to a large extent, I would say a moderate yes. And I would say a moderate yes because I'm in the room, so I can feel what my friend, I don't know whether he's a lawyer too.
I understand.
I can feel his pulse, I can feel his take, but I won't be as drastic as he is.
Okay.
To be very clear, I want a state of emergency.
Okay.
But I wanted a GEJ version of state of emergency as distinct from the OBJ version of state of emergency. He also now looks like the President Tinubu now has his own version of state of emergency. The GEJ, the OBJ is the one that sacks the governor outright. You are not coming back.
Okay.
The GEJ is the one that leaves the governor in place while sending in troops. The Tinubu version, with all due respect, is suspend the governor for a particular period. So I do not agree with suspension of the governor or sacking of the governor because the Constitution does not provide any for it in any way whatsoever.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, a lot of people will try to interpret the provisions of Section 305 and probably go extreme with it. I will not want to go extreme both ways. I feel that with due respect to Mr. Israel, is going extreme to the point of not even seeing that there is going to be breakdown in law and order.
Right.
if this is not done, it is a done deal. It is something that will definitely happen, except we are being naive or we are burying our head in the sand and just trying to work with only facts. I will also not go the way of the learned attorney general by saying that, okay, this is an accurate situation where you have to remove or tamper with the Constitution provides for the election of the governor and the House of Assembly members. The only ways that they can be removed from office or suspended or whatever are provided for in the Constitution. So we cannot derogate from the Constitution by saying that we're interpreting Section 305 to one extreme to remove elected persons from office. That's generally my take on this point.
All right, Israel, quickly now. The suspension is for 6 months, and which will probably be lifted as soon as the warring parties can embrace a truce. Now, would this decision give them a cause to reflect on the issue and and settle for peace?
Yes. Well, I think so. Within the time that the president has given, within the pendency of the state of emergency, I think the parties could also go back to the drawing board, and then with the intervention of perhaps the elders of Rivers State, and then the president also would also be, should also be involved. I think the parties could go back to the drawing board and then find a lasting solution to their political problem. Because we all know that what's actually gave rise to the political tension in Rivers State, is the personality clash, so to say, or the political imbroglio, between Fubara himself and then his godfather, so to say, the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike.
Right.
So it's been a sort of a flex of muzzle between the FCT minister and then the governor of Rivers State.
All right.
Fubara.
All right, we'll take a time out now, and Newsweek continues in a moment.